back like we never left. It's Double Move Sports. We're breaking down these rookies from the 2022 NFL Draft on the channel, and we're going to dive right into Christian Watson today. Christian Watson out of North Dakota State University lands in the one of two landing spots we'd all been looking at. Kansas City, Green Bay, Kansas City, Green Bay. Every wide receiver in this draft at some point has been mocked to one of those landing spots, and we're like, oh my goodness, the ceiling. And then, of course, both of the small school guys in Sky Moore and Christian Watson go to these premier landing spots. So it's going to be fun, and I'd love to get into the dichotomy of Sky Moore versus Christian Watson, but Christian Watson was taken 202 in this draft. Early second-round draft capital. That's the Michael Pittman, T. Higgins type draft investment from the Packers. And Alex, if you look at our rookie rankings, which we've been posting in the Discord channel, hit the free link down below, join leagues with us, throw your questions, trades, picks in there. We both have Christian Watson, I think, below consensus. I have him at my 112, ahead of David Bell, behind Jahan Dotson. You have him early second round. The question I have to pose is, are we going to hate ourselves if we miss out on the wide receiver one for the Packers? But what we're both willing to do, I believe, is take the bet against the fact that Christian Watson can be a wide receiver one in the NFL based on his profile and what we saw prior to the landing spot, prior to draft capital. And we know talent is one of the biggest factors, more than landing spot, especially for wide receivers, more than draft capital, especially for wide receivers. The profile and the age-adjusted target share matters for these players.
Yeah, Christian, I mean, first I'll answer your question. If we miss on Christian Watson and he goes on to be the next great number one wide receiver, top 5 dynasty guy, I'm actually okay with it because, look, you have to trust your process. And there's a difference between, like, if I took Christian Watson everywhere and I was wrong on him based on what we know, I'd be super mad. But if I miss on him, it is what it is. Like, every league I don't have the 101, I'm missing on Breece Hall, and I don't really care. So at the end of the day, I would just be beating myself up if I fell into a trap like this. And what I'm seeing across so many leagues is that people are factoring in landing spot way too much. Like we say it's talent, it's draft capital, and it's landing spot. Christian Watson obviously checks those other two boxes, the landing spot and the draft capital. But one thing you have to look at is just the talent of the player and the profile, and that should come first. That should always come first for some of these prospects. So here's the deal with Christian Watson. Here's why I'm out on him. I'm just going to sell my side, and I'm saying, look, I think there's a chance Christian Watson could hit. Of course there is. I just think there's a really, really high chance he busts. And here's why. So he goes to North Dakota State, FCS school, and he's a 4-year player. He's already 23 years old, and he doesn't even produce in a big way. Now, I've heard so much about North Dakota State lately. They run the ball a lot and this and that. It's like, who cares? Like, if he was that good, he should have been putting up absolute monster numbers in the FCS.
He should have been putting up great numbers, not only because he's good, but also the fact that he runs a 4.36. He has a 98th percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score. This player is super athletic, Christian Watson. It's like, what was he doing with all that athleticism? Was he not using it on the field? I don't know, especially against small school competition.
Exactly. And I think that's a great point you bring up, because when we say player talent, people are going to say, oh, Christian Watson's measurables are off the chart. It's like, yeah, he's a freak athlete. Like, this dude is one of the most athletic prospects we have seen ever at the wide receiver spot. 6'4", 208, 4.3, 640, jumps out of the gym. Like, this dude is an absolute athletic freak. And if he can piece it together on the football field, that's why his upside's insane. And he's going to be incredible. But the fact that he didn't produce in a big way on the football field is a little bit concerning. In his senior season at North Dakota State, only 800 yards and 43 receptions, 7 touchdowns. So it's like, dude, what were you doing? Was he doing a lot of blocking? I don't really know, but I just haven't seen it on the field. I heard he had a great Senior Bowl, all that stuff. But the reason people are propping up Christian Watson is because of the landing spot. It's because of the Packers. It's because of the clear opportunity there. But I want to lay this out. Just because a team has a ton of vacated targets and player X goes to given team does not mean that player is getting all those targets. And I'm going to spell this out for us. So bear with me. We're going to look at the Packers from last season, 2021. The two biggest names they're losing, Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Those two guys combined. If we want to throw Equanimeous St. Brown in there, we'll throw him in there as well. All their vacated targets. It's about 240. So 240 vacated targets on a Green Bay offense. Like, that's great. Christian Watson should have tons of upside there. But when we look at it, Allen Lazard only had 60 targets last year. Allen Lazard, I don't care what you say, he is better than Christian Watson at football right now. He is. So Allen Lazard's going to be the one. I'd be shocked if he didn't get at least 120 targets next year. So that's 60 more. So we take the 240 available, just give 60 of them to Lazard. I think that's actually low. You're down to 180. Then we look at Robert Tanyan, who missed half of last season, only had 29 targets. You even give him the additional 30 more that he was on pace for last year, which should actually be higher. You go from 180, now you're down to 150. You're thinking, okay, like, this is getting pretty light pretty quick. Then you're at 150. Sami Watkins is there. No, I don't think Sami Watkins is, A, going to stay healthy for a whole season. B, I don't really think he's all that good. But it's realistic to think he might get, 2-3 targets a game. So there's 40 for Sami Watkins. Now we're down to 110. Then you factor in Randall Cobb, who only had 39 targets last year, Amari Rodgers, who's working his way up. If they get at 20, 30 more targets, you're down to 80 targets. We expect the running backs and Aaron Jones to be more involved in the passing game. So it's like, okay, is Christian Watson going to get 70, 80 targets as a rookie? Maybe. He's a developmental prospect, and maybe he could turn that into, 45 catches for 600 yards and a couple of touchdowns, which would be a pretty solid rookie season. I think that should be a great outcome for him. But then you have to go back to Green Bay and say, hey, if that's all he does as a rookie, they're going to retool at the receiver position next year in free agency or the draft again. And right now, Aaron Rodgers, I know he signed a multi-year contract, but that's a year-by-year basis. So we could see a softer rookie season from Christian Watson than we want to see. And then looking to 2023, A, Aaron Rodgers could be gone. B, they could completely retool at the wide receiver position. And that could be it. So that's my concern. I hope he's good, but we just don't really know.
And when you look at what he did in college, there's just some blemishes in his production I can't get over. That matters to me more than the athleticism. There's a lot of hyper-athletic guys that have even gotten better draft capital that have underperformed. John Ross, Darius Slayton, Denzel Mims, Henry Ruggs, just to name a few. My comp coming into the draft was Martavis Bryant for Christian Watson. I do think that's a ceiling comp, but that's why we don't have him as one of these target magnets like a Chris Olave, like what we think Jameson Williams might be able to be, what we think Scott Moore will be and has a ceiling to be. We just don't necessarily see it from Christian Watson because his best year, he had 67 receiving yards a game. Putting that in context of this class, that's nowhere near the likes of a Drake London, nowhere near the likes of a Treylon, not even a Chris Olave. So just like, where was all the production? This guy should have had back-to-back 1,100-yard seasons, and I'd be all in. But there's just questions to me on his ability to be a wide receiver one in the NFL. And based on the process that we abide by here, we're willing to miss out on the Christian Watson profile. Hopefully, I'll have some shares in redraft. I already have some shares in best ball, but in Dynasty, I'm not betting on long.
Yeah, and one last thing I want to say. The reason I have him mid to early second round right now is because there is a point in drafts where I'm willing to take the risk involved with Christian Watson. But there's just more players that I'd like to go ahead and lock in before taking on that risk with Watson. I've seen him go 108, 109. I had guys like Pickens, Sky Moore, just to name a couple. And I just think that's too early. So there's a point where I'll take Christian Watson. I know it sounds like I hate him as a player. I don't. I think the athleticism is exciting. But just for where he's going in drafts right now, hard pass for me.